Welcome to the Christie Taylor Show. I'm your host, Christie Taylor. So happy to have you here inside the Taylor Tilton Hour. Here for the first 30 minutes, yes, it's the Christie Taylor Show. At the bottom of the hour, yes, it'll be followed by Tina Tilton's The Blend. Now, I have been having an amazing time doing this show for the past year and meeting amazing people all over the country and north of the border. So we're going north of the border yet again. And I tell you, this gentleman is amazing. We're talking about Orlando Prendergast. He is the founder and CEO of Zuka Sound. Now, he majored in business management with a minor in psych and was a member of the Vanier Cup championship football team before dropping out after 2 years in college to become self-employed. Now, for over 30 years, he became involved in all spectrums of the music industry, including artist management and development, music production, songwriting, music video directing, as well as real estate with buying and selling, investing, reno, and developing. Now, after tackling an illness that lasted over 5 years that almost got the best of him, Orlando is back with a greater perspective and purpose. Now, drawing from his musical background and many famous artists, DJs, and celebrity contacts, Orlando is now venturing on designing, developing and manufacturing his own brand of headphone products via Zuka Sound, while also creating a global charitable initiative. So I want you to help me welcome none other than Mr. G. Orlando Prendergast. And I think I said that right. Is that Prendergast?
There is the second time.
the
second time around.
Oh, he's a music man indeed, everybody. Indeed. Well, first of all, welcome to the Christie Taylor Show, and thank you for bringing me some joy on this wonderful day. Now, let me tell you, checking out your storyline, there's a lot to dissect. Over 30 years in the music industry, self-employed, and now you're on this journey. So can we wind it back to your college years and your decision to drop out of school and get into business?
Wow, that was hard because I later realized that I was really in college to satisfy my mom. And I did my best what I wanted to do. And after that, I knew that I wasn't going to work for anyone else but myself. So I quickly found out that I was just throwing money down the drain. And basically I left. How I left, actually, how I gained the confidence to leave college. And I made about $65,000 before I left college. How I got that, fencing and decking in the little town that I grew up in was just a huge fad. And my mom had just bought a brand new home and she needed fencing and decking. And I visited on the weekend. I was away for school and I visited on the weekend and I saw this man building the fence. And in the city that I was at, there was a huge development. So the fact that I played football, we had all the girls' attentions. That was then, people, not now. That was then. But I had all the girls, called all these home builders around the area that I was going to school. And I made a deal with the contractor who was building my mom's fence. And I asked him, do you travel outside the city? I was about half an hour away from my hometown. And he said, yes. So I said, if we can get you some appointment, I want you to go do the estimate, bring it back to me. I'm going to add my margin and then confront the developer. So that's exactly what we did. He did the estimate. He brought it to me and I added 30%. And by the time I left, and I was paying these girls $10 an hour.
Whoa.
So, yeah. So by the time I left school, I actually had 65 grand in my bank. And it was then that gave me the confidence. My uncle, who was like my father figure, I approached him. I loved cars growing up. So I approached him to co-sign for me for a line of credit. And after about 3 months of trying to coerce him into doing that, he's very, very conservative. But the bank manager, Mr. Barry Kitchen, I will never forget that name, spoke to my uncle and told him that I really had a great business plan of selling exotic cars in the area. Wow. And he helped me, and I got a $250,000 revolving line of credit.
This is over 30 years ago?
Yeah, this was out of school.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I had my first child, so I knew I had to do something. But I could not work for people. I was woke before they even started that bad woke. You know, I wasn't gonna be one of those guys that gonna add to the wealth of someone else. I was gonna do that for myself. Mm-hmm. And thank God it did. You know, the car industry went well. I had one of the best detailing shop in the whole county. And, you know, I hired one of the best guy, and I actually gave him 50% of the detailing shop, and he came on board, and we ran that city. We ran the county for years.
Wow. You know something, it's a couple of things, Orlando, that you're just really speaking to me, because I'm fairly new into business, but understanding, number one, the segue out of college came with you already using your business degree information. You were even the psych portion on how to communicate to the established business owner who was already doing the fencing and the decks, to how to use him with the contractors in your college town, to hiring college students, you know, the girls,
all girls.
Which of course is a mastermind in itself, and paying them well, $10 an hour. There are people right now who wish they could make $10 an hour, and you were doing that from the onset, and then being able to come out with $65,000. Yes, that would justify not continuing in college, because you pretty much had already got the information. You already had it.
Exactly.
And I love also, I have to say, your conservative uncle, and to have a bank representative convince him, that speaks volumes.
Yeah.
So we're talking, had you even made 23 at this age? Were you?
No, I wasn't even 23 at that time. I had just finished my second year of school, and I said that, you know, it's not for me. Mm-hmm. We had won the Vanier Cup champion, and, you know, sports was my life, but I had a child at home. So I had to pivot real quick and raise my child. So, you know, I injured myself in school, actually. So that actually helped to expedite my exit from school, because I knew that I wasn't going to go professional. I would never pass the physical. And I just left. I was being recruited by 2 CFL professional football team, and I knew that I wasn't going to pass the medical. So all of that, the money in my account, the drive, the desire to be self-employed, you know, it was an easy decision.
Very easy. And I also want to applaud you. Something that you're bringing in as a subtext to this story is your fatherhood was a strong motivation. So can you talk about, you know, as a Black man, a man of the diaspora, who oftentimes you're not celebrated for those kinds of choices. What fostered that inside of you?
Wow. A lot of things. Now, I don't want to get emotional speaking about my kids, but a lot of things. My upbringing, you know, my mom married a man that wasn't really that great to me. So it propelled me to be different. Early on, I said to myself that everything that he did, I have to do the opposite, and I'll be fine. And then I had my uncle, who was in a stable marriage, had all his kids with one woman. My dad, my real dad, biological dad, had 13 kids with 10 different women. Wow. Yeah, and I didn't really know him that well. I actually later found that out years later in my professional life. But my uncle was the staple, my uncle and my grandpa. They were really the staple that, you know, like dug and cemented those values in me at an earlier stage. And then my mom, my late mom, who I missed a lot, she was like my father, my uncle, my brother, my sister, my best friend. My mom had me when she was 17. So that was a bond that was like no other, you know, and she was my rock. So she taught me a lot. You know, when I found out that that girl was pregnant, my mom said to me, she goes, well, you're old enough to be a father. You're going to be old enough to be responsible. Ooh. And she took my weekends away. She had my ex-wife, which my girlfriend at that, which we got married later on. She had her dropped off my baby at 3 months old. You know, she pumped her breasts, left the feed and everything. Mm-hmm. And my mom said, the weekend belongs to your daughter, Nicole. And yeah, there was no weekend. But then I was kind of upset because I was young. You know, I wasn't going out. My friends were going out, you know, and but the sacrifice and that bring and the bond that me and my oldest daughter, Nicole, have now, I wouldn't change a minute.
Wow. So with those type of, I would say, nurturing advice and wisdom, and then going to college and having that pressure or that support, I can see how you begin to look at, like, how much of college do I need? How much of this do I really want to do? What type of commitment am I making to myself and to my daughter? Wow, I love that. Now, tell me this. After we get into the two businesses, because you have the college business and then you have the exotic cars, what becomes your next step? Because you end up in music. When does that happen?
That happened probably about 8 years afterwards. You know, and I won't mention any name, but after the car business, I had made some money, you know, and mortgage brokering, the business of mortgage brokers was just coming in. And
so that would take us in the 90s, correct?
Late 80s, early 90s. Yeah. And that was just coming in. So it was a fad. And a lot of people associated mortgage brokers with used car salespeople. So I was in the used car, and I wanted, you know, I love challenges. I love to change the narratives. I had relationships. I garnered relationships and nurse relationships with some people in the real estate industry because I knew that's where I wanted to go. Like indirectly, I didn't want to sell real estate. I took the course because I wanted to understand the mechanics of the industry.
Yeah.
And I went into mortgage broker because it was so new and everybody was against it, but I knew I could change it and make it a little bit more glamorous and also beneficial. So I learned and I garnered relationship with a lot of the top real estate agents in my area. And I asked them, I said, for convenience sake, what would change? What would you welcome? What change would you welcome so that you can focus on what you do best? And they said that if we can have someone that could deal with the loans, the qualification, the customer qualifying for what mortgage and stuff like that, this would definitely help us. So right then and there, my answers was given. I created Norlight Financial with a friend of mine, and we actually were the first one to put a mortgage broker's agent in every RE/MAX offices in the community that I was at.
Wow.
Yeah. And after it wasn't even 2 years, RE/MAX actually bought the company.
What? The one your friend established?
Yeah, they bought the company. And that's where I got a lot of the money to do what I had to do in the music business.
Orlando, at this point, are you late 20s, early 30s?
I was 25 when I was 20, almost 25 before I made my first million.
Can I say, wow? And I like the word you said, before I made my first million.
Yeah. My first, I lost it. I made my second, I tripled it. I lost it due to, not to me. I don't know if you remember this stock fraud, Bre-X. It was a gold fraud. It was like the biggest fraud in the history of the Dow. And I lost my second earnings there. It was in the same year. Remember that John Benet Ramsey little girl from I was in the pool with my kids, and my ex and my wife was at that time in Jamaica in Ocho Rios, when my broker called and said, this stock is a fraud. You can't even sell. And yeah, 4.8 million US just
gone.
How
did you, okay, because let's talk. I mean, I've yet to make my first million, but even having this conversation, I know I'm in the right vibration. I'm talking to someone who's done it multiple times. But how did you mentally hold it together? Because there are a lot of people who, under the weight of losses, massive losses, can't keep it together. What was your foundation?
Oh, wow. I'm not going to say that I had the formula, because I was learning as much as I was growing, but I believed in myself. I really believed in myself, and I knew that I had a work ethics that was second to no one. And if I put my mind to it, I am going to achieve it. Come hell or high water, I'm going to achieve it. And that's been the blueprint of my life. To be honest with you, I know that nobody can drive me as much as I drive myself. And as long as I had that quality, I can't fail. I can't fail in anything that I do. I can't fail. And I had that within me like a burning fire. And that kept me going. Yeah, I lost my marriage over it. So I didn't have the full solution.
Yeah.
I lost a lot, but I had to go. I had to drive. And then I had kids, and my girls, I wanted to make sure that they had a better upbringing than I did. I drew from little life's experience. Like,
yes,
that drive came, I remember, vividly how when I was in high school, all the white kids were coming to school after the weekend on Monday and saying, oh, we went to the Keg. Oh, we went to Red Lobster. Oh, we went here. We went there. And, we didn't have the money to go all over the place like that. But the way it made me feel, like I carried that silently inside of me. And that little thing propelled me to say, there's no way my kids are ever going to be faced with that type of, at that time, to me, I was young. I didn't understand why my mom couldn't take me, but nonetheless, I didn't want my kids to go through that.
Right.
So even as they grow, I made sure that my kids were going to the best restaurants, man.
And I like the fact, Orlando, that you said, number one, we know Nicole, who is your oldest, and you said your girls. So how many girls and what are their names?
I have 3 biological, and I'd like to say 4 because my goddaughter, Renee. But my oldest is Nicole, Tatiana, and Taylor. And then my goddaughter is Renee. So I really have 4 because Renee is my uncle, who was my father figure. That's his daughter.
Okay.
And I was blessed. He made me the godfather.
Wow.
And I made a pact that I remember. I'm an observer, and I like to listen And I remember as a young kid, so many people had grand goddaughters, all, you know, like people were having 10 goddaughters. And I'm saying, no, I only want one godchild because I want to treat that child like my child. And we were able to do that. She grew as my child with, and her dad was more than capable. But I've always treated her like my child, and my girls treat her, up to today, they treat her like their sisters. So I have 3 biological, but four girls.
I love the fact, you know, a lot of this, a family that I really admire, particularly, I'm talking about the Smiths, Will Smith, and, you know, his own journey, like yourself, you know, about that burning desire to be, you know, better than what your father was, or his father was, or the man that, you know, fathered you. And then also something else that I'm finding this very striking is the commitment to fatherhood and the impact girls have on fathers.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's no joke. They softened me up. I tell people they softened me up. My girls can get anything they want, and they know how to get it. Just, you know, especially now they're adults, but only when they choose to. They can revert very easily back to daddy's girl when they choose to.
When they choose to.
Yeah.
Now, I know that life is full of all kinds of peaks and valleys. And you spoke about even when you lost money through that fraud investment. And I guess in that period of time, you also, your marriage, the first marriage, dissolved.
Only one.
Only one. So the commitment to, so only one marriage.
Yeah.
So your commitment to fatherhood preceded marriage. Or top, definitely. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It changed my whole life after my divorce. My baby was not even a full year when I left the home, and I was traveling a lot, and that whole thing came to a halt real quick because there's no way I was gonna allow her not to know her dad. So, you know, I had my daughters every second weekend, but every Thursday, even on their mother's weekend, I made sure, I live about an hour and a half away. And every Thursday I would travel and I would pick them up, and I would either bring them back here, take them out for dinner, chill with them, or stay in my hometown, go see my mom. They grew very, very close with their grandma, because I would involve my mom in everything. And yeah, and now Taylor is, you know, 26, and she's like daddy's girl, man. My girls are daddy's girls, you know, and I have bond with it. It's not even, I can't even explain it. The different bonds that I share with each one of them, including my goddaughter, Renee. You know, we have such an emotional bond, and my girls are they are examples of the people that I wanted around me. Not even family or friends. They're not yes people. And all my life I've had yes people. And my girls will tell me, Dad, you're messing up. You know, Dad, stop. Dad.
Yeah.
And I listen because I know that they don't want anything from me. It's unconditional. They already have me. I'm their dad. You know, they just want to see the best of me. And yeah, I go to them for everything. And that's the bond that we have. They are the extension of the relationship that I had with my mom.
That is powerful. That is powerful, Orlando, to be able to hear a man speak of that type of father-daughter bond, and to have duplicated that 4 times, and to have healthy relationships. So it would be amazing to have conversations with your girls, I tell you.
Oh, you would be impressed.
Oh, wow. Now, I know that also part of your story is that there was a health issue that, you know, that you speak to for 5 years. How much of that are you willing to share?
I really don't share a lot because even now I don't pay it a lot of attention. I don't understand it. I contracted Crohn's disease in 2001. My grandma was very, very dear to me, and she she passed in 2 days after 9/11. And I later found out, probably 18 years after she passed, no, actually 9 years after she passed, I found out that traumatic experience of her death brought on the stress that actually had me diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Crohn's disease is an autoimmune disease, you know, and, you know, I went to my doctor. I didn't even know what it was. And I went to my doctor, and my doctor said, in all the 40 years that I've been practicing, I've never seen a Black person with Crohn's. Crohn's, now it's out there and I'm understanding, but Crohn's is normally dominant in the Jewish community. But now, with all the fake foods and the environment, the external environment and stuff like that, it is one of the fastest growing disease in Canada, and if not the world.
Understood.
It's devastating. And I got it late in my life. Most, like when I was in the hospital, it was all kids. Wow. All kids, man. And we were just me and a friend were just talking about that the other day. And it was very sad. But my second flare up came when the real estate market dropped, the global real estate crisis.
Well, 2007, 2008.
Yeah. And through my years in the industry, I've gained the trust of a lot of people. So I had 12 people that invested about 20-something million in me.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, we went bullish. It was a bullish market in real estate before that. You know, 20-something million is not a lot when you're doing big deals.
Yeah. So
in a lot of the project that we invested in, we were the minority, which I never really, I was never ever comfortable being the minority owners in anything, but we did, and yeah, we suffered tremendous loss, and I also lost almost $1 million in two of my artists that I was trying to bring back.
So somewhere in your, because I did ask earlier about how did you get into the music scene. So from my understanding, once you got into real estate, it gave you, real estate being your primary, having the capital to invest in the entertainment industry. Is that correct?
The money that we sold the brokerage for, that was that got me into real estate. That gave me the capital for both real estate and, you know, music was just a hobby. And then I discovered a young kid here who went on to win four Junos, which is the American
Grammys. Yeah.
And 5 Much Music Video Awards. His name is Choclair. Very, very legendary. He was before the Drake, you know, the Justin, all them cats. Before him, and which we call the godfather of hip hop, is Maestro Fresh West. Wow. Yeah, Maestro and his manager Farley Flex were really the ones that really got me interested in the business of music. I always loved music.
Okay.
But they, seeing what they were doing, and I was already a businessman. I had the money. I didn't need nobody else's money. So I just ventured into it, and you know, it's the rest is history.
Well, the history that you're saying, just so, matter of factly, is that you ended up investing because some of the people that you're talking about, I've heard of them. So you were able to connect with people who were already legends in the space.
Definitely.
And then being able to have that type of acumen in the industry, and then your investment really took it to the next level. Correct. Now, in your bio, you talk about even doing video production and all like that. So it sounds like beyond the money, you actually put your hands in it too.
Yeah, I like to, I like to really have or create something like a one-stop shop. And again, it's about business and keeping the money, circulating within the company. So I had the record label. We needed visuals were coming in. It was a big thing now. So I teamed up with one of the best director at that time. And because I had the money, I funded everything. So we had our own video production company. And early stage, we've done a lot for Billy Woodruff. So Bill, Billy,
yes.
Billy was big, but his is less than $100,000 budget.
Yeah,
it would come to us. And my partner at that time was a guy by the name of David Cropper. And David and Billy were really good friends. So we did videos for like Donnell Jones when he just started out. Yeah, we tons of videos for those guys. My company was called Vice Films.
Vice Films. Okay, yeah. Vice Films.
But you know what I do, Christy, and even now in the cryptocurrency and NFT field right now, which I know nothing about. I'm not interested. I'm too old. I don't have enough space for any more information. But I find people who are good in those fields, and I invest in them. And right now I'm investing in a young 23-year-old guy. He's a genius in that, and he's proven himself over and over again. And right now we're on our way to developing our own non-fungible token, which is what's pushing the industry now, the world, right? Cryptocurrency and stuff like that. So all along my journey, I've always found people that are good in those fields, those areas.
Yes.
And I invest in them. And that's really my secret.
Wow, that's a good secret. And you just shared it with us here on the Christie Taylor Show. So I take it then that with everything that you've been doing since the fencing and the decking has been about positioning yourself in partnerships. So when did you, since you've been in the music industry and also real estate and now in the crypto community, decided to make Zuka Sound? So how did that come to be?
That was actually a dare. And I told you.
Dare?
Yeah, I like dares. Yeah. When I'm challenged, I take it personally. But a friend of mine introduced me to a very well-known audio engineer, Marty Garcia. Marty was the audio engineer behind American Idol in the US for the first 10 years. I think he's still the audio engineer behind the Jimmy Fallon and Steve Colbert show. And we were introduced, and Marty developed a technology for the in-ear monitor where a lot of his clients like U2, Travis Scott, Drake, The Weeknd, those people are all his clients. They all wear his in-ear monitor system.
So that's when, like, when you're, for those who don't understand what we're talking about, it's like when you're performing on stage, typically you have the sound system and the monitors on the floors, on the side. And now, of course, new technology gives the artist an opportunity to have an in-ear monitor so they get the perfect, no reverb, no back. Yes. Okay.
Playback.
No playback. Yeah.
So Marty was a godfather in that.
Wow.
So the individual that introduced me to Marty, he had invested in Marty, and he came to me strictly for my business documents. So he said Marty was an investor, or an inventor, but he wasn't a businessman. So they wanted me to try and commercialize that technology. What I later found out was that Beats by Dre actually approached Marty a few years back for his technology, and that deal never happened. So yeah, so when I found that out, I was very intrigued. So to make a long story short, I messed around with them. They didn't have my urgency, they didn't have my work ethics, and I wasn't just going to give somebody my money to play around with. So I listened, I studied, and I got some knowledge from some of the best people, even people that were directly and indirectly associated with the development of beats. I met a lot of people in that. I was somewhat indirectly a spectator of that full development of Beats by Dre. So I put all that knowledge together and I did my research, and here we are.
And here we are indeed with your own line of, and I believe you said they're actually more than headphones. They are actually
head stereos. We're coming into a very saturated market. And, being from the music industry, I know that uniqueness is a huge value to any recording artist. You don't want to hear the same Drake. You don't want to hear the same Weeknd. You got to come in with your own thing. So in my research and learning the electronic business, I found that the components, the integration of the components, you almost have an option. So everybody now have a mobile smartphone, and they want to have the in-ear product that they can also answer their phone, have quality chats, voice recognition, and all of that. But in order for you to have quality on the voice, you also have to dilute the quality in the sound.
That's right.
So with this now, and taking from a lot of the brands out there, they weren't doing that. They were trying to go down the middle, but one part is going to suffer no matter what. It's just the way the components are built and the way you can integrate these components, right? So we decided to go more on the sound. Being from the music, I was more appreciating the sound. The voice quality and all of that, it's still there. I still have the component and it's great. But when you come to an in-ear stereo, and that's why I call it in-ear stereo and head stereos instead of headphones, because I didn't want it to associate with the phone. When you hear the phone, you hear about talking. When you hear a stereo, you hear about music, sound. So I wanted more of an association to the sound, which is really what we're all about. And yeah, that's really it. So yeah.
Well, I'm super excited to have been introduced to this amazing life journey, and to know that even now, 2021, 2022, we are going to be hearing more about Zuka Sound coming out of Canada. I'm going to put this across the bottom. I want you all to make sure that you follow my special guest, G. Orlando Prendergast.
Correct.
His website is zukasound.com. And you can follow them on all social media platforms at Zuka, Z-U-K-A Sound. And I'm so grateful to have had this opportunity to meet you and to learn about this amazing journey. And how can we, in, let's say, Memphis, Tennessee, have a greater partnership with this amazing new venture that you're part of?
Well, most of the platforms that are interviewing me, we actually end up doing some major deals because of the campaign that we're putting on right now. The products, due to the global chipset shortage, we're doing pre-launch right now. So we've attached a campaign. It's called the Soul2Soul campaign. So the product that you have is called the Zuka Soul. and we were using the Zuka Soul to create the Soul2Soul campaign to benefit the essential workers. And also, I must say, the students too, because I feel that that segment of our society, these caregivers really, really suffered largely with the current pandemic. And so, you know, I wanted to engage my customers to also help us give, you know, just like a gesture of giving back and say thank you for, you know, all you've done, risking your life and, you know, to protect ours. And, you know, it really sat heavy on my heart to do that. Although, and it's very risky when you're launching a new brand, you want to get as much profit as possible because you need that operating capital going forward, right? So we're risking that right now, where we've discounted our profit very, very heavily, just so we can give to you know, give to the essential workers. So the gist of it is, you go on the website, you purchase a Zuka Soul. It is, the regular price is $179 US. You go on it, you get a discount right away, bring it down to $149 US. And you can just buy that and leave. If you choose to donate and participate in the program, you get another $20 off. And then you also get that second soul for, I think it's $70 US, where you can now gift it to an essential worker in your community, a student, because, you know, they suffer. I've spoken to so many kids that miss their graduation, and we as adults, we've left that so many years ago, but it is so impactful with these kids. You know, they'll never ever get to relive that. So the Soul2Soul campaign is very, very dear to my heart. And, you know, I don't care if I lose profit or don't make any profit, you know what I mean? As long as that is a success. And that's my whole team behind Zuka. So it wasn't just me, you know, I've got the support from my COO and all my people. So.
Wow. Zuka Sound has brought to us Zuka Soul and the Soul2Soul campaign. You can learn more about it on his website, zukasound.com. Be sure to follow them on all their social media platforms as well. Well, thank you so very much. This has been truly amazing. Thank you so much for such a generous conversation / interview.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you for your interest. And
thank you.
Let's talk about that deal after, behind the scene.
Yes, sir. I'm definitely going to do just that. So with that being said, thank you all so much for watching the Christie Taylor Show. Be sure to also check out Tina Tilton's The Blend. Every Tuesday, you can also check us out, The Taylor Tilton Show, Tuesdays at 9 a.m., a prelude to the Taylor Tilton Hour on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. on Comcast. Thank you all so much for watching. Be blessed.
Thank you.